Joshua Byrne had recently welcomed a new member into his home, a golden retriever named Shelby. But Shelby wasn't just any dog. She carried with her a past filled with fear and uncertainty. Her timid nature made her wary of new faces, especially when it came to one particular visitor, the garbage collector. Every single time the large truck rumbled down the street and stopped in front of the house, Shelby would launch into a frenzy. Barking furiously, pacing the yard, her body tense with unease. She didn't trust the man in uniform who took the trash away week after week. And as it turned out, he didn't trust her either. The garbage collector had always been afraid of dogs. Something about their unpredictable nature made him uneasy. So, each time he arrived, he moved quickly, emptying the trash cans in a rush, never once attempting to approach Shelby. And honestly, he was relieved that the fence kept her at a distance. Her deep growls were enough to send a chill down his spine. But then something unexpected happened. One morning, as he hurried through his routine, something brushed against his leg. His heart pounded. He froze in place, a jolt of fear surging through him. Slowly, he turned around, dreading what he might see. And there she was, Shelby, sitting a few feet away, her ears perked up, her eyes locked onto him. Not with aggression, but with curiosity. She wasn't charging at him. She wasn't growling. She was simply watching. Still, his instinct kicked in, and he took a step back, retreating towards the safety of his truck. His pulse raced, his mind screamed at him to get out of there. But as he climbed into the cab, he couldn't shake the image of Shelby's calm, yet hesitant expression. The following weeks were filled with the same eerie pattern. Each time he arrived, Shelby would be there, silent, observing. She no longer barked aggressively, but she didn't come any closer either. It was as if an unspoken agreement had formed between them, one built on mutual caution. Then, one fateful day, everything changed. As the garbage truck pulled up, Shelby was already waiting, but something was different. She wasn't pacing. She wasn't barking. She was simply standing on the sidewalk, as if she were expecting something more than just another visit. The garbage collector hesitated, feeling a strange shift in the air. His hands clenched into fists, tension creeping up his spine. His body was on high alert, yet he noticed something in Shelby's posture. She wasn't just standing still, she was waiting. Not with fear, but with something else. And then it hit him. She wasn't the only one who had been afraid all this time. He had been, too. And in that moment, he saw it in her eyes. Shelby recognized fear, and now, she saw it in him. A wave of realization washed over him. He wasn't the only one struggling with trust. Shelby, despite her past, was trying to understand him. So, with a deep breath, he made a choice. He slowly unclenched his fists, bent down, and reached into his pocket. When he lifted his hand, he held two things, a small dog treat and a ball. His heart pounded as he extended them toward her, unsure of what would happen next. For a long moment, Shelby just stood there, her eyes locked onto him, her body still. Then, with a hesitant but hopeful trot, she moved forward. Step by step, closer and closer, until, finally, she snatched the treat from his hand. And as she chewed, something magical happened. Her tail wagged. It was subtle at first, just the tiniest flicker, but then it grew. Faster. Stronger. And before he knew it, Shelby was wagging her tail like she'd just found an old friend. From that day forward, things were different. Every week, when the garbage truck arrived, the collector made it a point to stop, not just for the trash, but for Shelby. He'd kneel down, offer her a treat, and even toss the ball a few times. And Shelby? She no longer waited with fear. She waited with excitement. But what neither of them knew was that someone had been watching. Joshua, Shelby's owner, had been keeping an eye on the security footage, curious about his dog's sudden change in behavior. And when he finally watched the recordings, what he saw moved him in a way he never expected. Shelby, a dog who had once known only fear, had chosen to trust. Not because she had to, but because someone had shown her kindness. The next morning, Joshua decided to do something he hadn't done before. When the garbage truck arrived, he stepped outside. With a warm smile, he approached the collector and extended a hand. "Thank you," he said, his voice full of gratitude. The garbage collector shook his hand, surprised but appreciative. That's when Joshua shared Shelby's story, her past, her struggles, and how much this bond meant. As the garbage collector listened, his eyes softened with understanding. He had never realized just how much his small actions had mattered. But in the end, it wasn't just Shelby who had healed. They both had. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. There's so much more waiting for you. Smiling face with smiling eyes movie camera sparkles.